So just get yourself ready. And welcome everybody. Glad to see you. If I don't know you, welcome. Really glad you're here. And if you don't know me, I'm Barbara McDonald, and I am a yoga teacher and a psychologist. So I bring both of those bodies of knowledge to my practice, and so you get to hear about it too. But mostly I'm a yoga person. When I started yoga, I decided, I would not be one of those people that thought I would teach from a psychological point of view. So I always teach from a yoga point of view, but you know how psychology has a way of working its way in anyway, because this is a mind-body practice. Well, let's sit up. If you've been sitting in crossed legs, let's cross our legs the other way. And if you have any knee issues this morning, maybe they're ongoing and it's a problem, or maybe just today you notice it, there's a couple of ways to deal with it. And one is to sit up higher. That would be the way I would always start. If I had a problem with my knees, I would sit up higher. And if that didn't help, I would definitely bolster my knees up with blankets or blocks, however I could do that. And also, we sometimes take a belt and we put it behind the sore knee. And then, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to draw the cartilage deeper in. And so sometimes that helps. I'm just giving you these remedies. You probably don't even have the problem. But I never like to have these things go unstated. Let's sit up straight and tall. So just put your hands not on your knees, so well near your knees. And then just draw your elbows down and your chest up. So we're trying to now begin the practice of this morning by sitting as tall as we can and by centering ourselves. So right away, before worrying too much about the details of the sitting position, which you know are numerous, but we do want to center ourselves, and that is a mental activity as well as a physical activity. When we think about that, you might think about it from the spine to start with, and just try to center your spine, left to right, side to side, front to back, and then top to bottom. And we don't think about that sometimes. Think about where in your spine you might be heavy. Like, are you heavier through the lower back? Because one of the instructions for Sukhasana, which we're in, is to lift your sacrum up and in. And that really is important. So sacrum goes up and in, but then the lower back has to lift away from that. You want to keep the curve. Don't worry about that. The curve will be there, but lift your lower back. And then your upper back has kind of an important job. It is lifting, but the skin on the upper back is rolling down and inwardly. So we've got a lot of support for our sitting position, but let's add the abdomen. Draw the abdomen back and, use it. And then bring your hands together in prayer. So once you bring your hands together in prayer, close your eyes. And notice now, even though your eyes are closed, your hands are probably up closer to your chest than to your waist. And just see if you could draw them down a little bit. So I don't want you to take your hands away from each other, but I do think that if we could take our hands a little lower, so our forearms and elbows lined up, but that might not happen, but try. And then lift your chest up through that, and especially lift your armpits. So the inner armpits, from the lower part of both armpits up through the inner part to the top of the shoulder, lift. And then the back of the shoulder blades down. So there's this circular action through what we call the armpit chest. Really important. So lift your heart, lift your spine, lift your chest, lift your collarbones, draw your elbows down. Go in, prepare for yoga. And with all this lift and extension of our spine, keep that, but bow your head to your heart. So now this is where we say the intellectual part of us subsumes to the heart. And bring your hands down to your thighs, palms up. And when you open your eyes, look toward your heart, and then bring your head back up and straighten your legs. When you straighten your legs, use this moment to look at your knees and see whether they are identical. Does one act differently than the other? Of course, the most well-behaved one is a square right in the center of your leg facing the ceiling. The one that's having more difficulty might be rolling to the side, and I mean to the outward side. So, just do what you can to get your knees organized. But one of the ways we do it is we lean onto one buttock, we take the hand under the hamstring of the other leg, and we just broaden it. It's not an aggressive action, it's just a little bit. And that helps the hip. And usually if your knee is doing something that you don't want it to, it's coming from the hip. So then the other side, even though that's the best knee for me, I'm still going to do that. And so now we would be in what we call Dandasana, and we'll keep coming back to Dandasana, but let's cross our legs the second way. So whatever you were doing before, and if you can remember, sit in the second way and just sit really tall, really tall. So you're drawing your elbows down, your chest up, and then take your thumb and first finger and bring it together into a little circle. This is a mudra. And take your fingers, your 3 fingers, and broaden them, and then put those 3 fingers on the top of your thigh near the crease of your thigh and torso. And then lift your chest away from that and draw your elbows down. There's not a lot of pressure into your legs right at the top. There's more of a connection. So feel the back of those 3 fingers touching the top of your thigh, and just breathe. Breathe into your torso as you're lifting it. Again, tailbone lifts up. We don't sit on our tailbone. We don't sit on our spine. We're lifting up the tailbone. We're lifting up the sacrum. The ribs are lifting. Everything's lifting up until we get to those shoulder blades. And then the skin is softly rolling down. So we don't want the ears the ears and the shoulder close. We want the shoulders to draw away from the ears. And then just look out in front of you with a soft gaze. And take 3 conscious breaths. And then turn your hands down and straighten your legs again. So once you straighten your legs, you're going to look at your knees again, of course. Of course we are. We're going to look at our knees and we're going to make sure they're even. And then we're going to draw our shins toward each other. So just breathe and stretch out through your toes. So take your toes and stretch them toward the computer that you have, or toward me, and then just feel put your hands on your thighs. So if you really point your toes, your thighs will come into a lot of awareness for you. Not so much the hamstrings. Do you feel? I don't feel the hamstrings so much if I'm doing this. But now let's take the toes and let's bring them back toward the shin. And now, while I don't feel my hamstrings in any particularly aggressive way, I do feel like they're hugging more toward the bone. Okay, so now we're going to all cross our legs the same way, but I will mirror you. Bring your right shin in front. So just bring your right shin in front into simple cross legs. Now, if for any reason you're feeling like you don't like sitting here, there's always a chair. So I'm going to talk about the chair in a moment for another pose, but the chair is always great because if your knees are bothering you, you can sit up. Because what we're going to do doesn't require this position. You could be sitting on a chair. I always say that, and people sometimes, if they know if they need it. So now sit up really tall again and put your hands on your thighs, draw your elbows down, your armpits up, your ribs back, your belly button in, the buttock skin down, the shoulder skin down, everything that you know about sitting up tall, because we know that this is not easy, right? So really sitting up tall. Now we're going to take our hands behind our back, and we're going to make a real curve in our back by drawing our hands down and our chest up, and you'll feel the muscles of your middle back, the latissimus dorsi, really hugging in and squeezing toward the spine and the shoulder skin down. So this is a seated cow. So this is cat-cow pose, seated. So this will seem very familiar to you. Feel the shoulder skin as it's rolling down toward the hands. Just feel that. And now, just take your hands away from each other and bring them in front and clasp your hands in front and round your back. So I'm taking my hands way forward and I'm taking the middle back way back, and this is the cat shape, and it's a seated cat shape. So do that. And then undo that and bring your right hand down and your left arm over. And then bring your left hand down and your right hand over. And then go back to the cow shape with different fingers crossing, if you can remember, but you can because it's always the same, isn't it? Take your hands down, your shoulders down, your chest up, your armpits up, breathe, bring your arms forward, round your back into the cat shape. Take your right hand down, your left hand over, your left hand down, your right hand over, and then cross your legs. And we'll do that again on the other side. That's just a nice little seated flow. And if it bothers your arms in any way, then back off. And you know, this isn't a contest. We just want to feel good. So again, now we're crossing our legs the other way. Our hands come behind us. Interclasp your hands, pull your hands down. Cow, the cow shape. So the middle back is really moving toward the ribs, and the ribs are holding back, and the armpits should feel pretty open, you know, or stretched, and breathe. And then bring your arms in front and round your back into the cat shape. And then right hand down, left arm over. And then left hand down, right arm over. And then breathe and go back to the cow shape. The cow shape. And clasp your hands the other way. Take your hands down. So if you take your hands down, that draws your shoulder skin down and your armpits up right away. Hold your belly button back. Feel the mid back squeezing in toward the ribs, and then come forward into our cat shape. So now we're actually rounding our back. And now we're going to take our right hand down, our left arm over, and we're going to take our left hand down, our right arm over. And then we're going to straighten our legs out again. So now we're looking at our, now look at your shins again and squeeze them toward each other. So you're looking at your knees. I always call this a perch. I'm not really sitting comfortably, you know, like, relaxing. I'm sitting so that my buttocks and a little bit of my hamstrings are on what I call the perch, but my hamstrings are not really on it, the most of them. So I can look at my legs in a couple of different ways, but just squeeze the shins in, but massage the calf skin a little bit so that half of the calf skin is going to the left and half to the right on both shins, because you know that's a nice thing to do for yourself. And then try to draw your shins in so that the inner legs touch, and mine don't, but yours might. And then sit up really, really tall and breathe. And now we're going to do something that, again, I'm going to give a little caution, and I'm going to give a little idea of what you could do, because we're going to do something that is easy for some of us and really not easy for others of us. And I'll just show you. We're going to be taking one ankle over the other knee and trying to levelize our shin. Now, you know, it feels great if your knees are okay, but if your knees are not okay, I would really like you to bring a chair in. And you can see me sitting in the chair here. You can't see how happy I am. You can't see my smile. But when I sit on a chair, see, I'm not sitting back in the chair. I'm sitting forward in the chair. And then I can cross one ankle over the other knee, but I don't have the issues with my hips that I have if I'm seated. So just so you know, you can use a chair, and please do, because this is really, we caution about the knee. So bring your right shin in front. We caution about the knee, but you'll really feel a lot of this in the hip, I think. So take your right foot and put it on top of your ankle, on top of your left knee, and then bend. feel how bony that ankle is. It's like, ooh. And then put your right hand on your right knee and your left hand beside you. Now think about being centered. And to be centered is always easiest if you're even. So think about the evenness of your buttocks right now and the evenness of your torso. So that you, from the hips to the armpits, there's continuous stretch. And from the ankle to the knee, there's an attempt to levelize, but I'm going to use my hand to do that. So you'll know now if you wish you had that chair, won't you? And even, you know, you're always welcome to use that. So pressing my knee. And when I press my knee, what do I feel? I feel my IT band. If you feel your knee, then we've got to make an adjustment. You either got to sit up higher or you got to use that chair, because this is not the final pose. You know, we're going places today. So really stretch up with your torso and stretch out with your thigh skin toward your knee and breathe, and then undo and take the other shin in front. So now we're going to take the left ankle over the right knee. So it's the ankle, it's kind of ankle foot. And then you're going to do what we did on the other side, which is try to be even. And you say to yourself, well, how funny that this doesn't feel quite the same. No, because, and it's probably because of your hips, but be as even as you can on both sit bones. Take your right hand beside you for this balance and this reference, and then take your left hand to your left knee. And on this side, I've got quite a different situation. It's not a terrible situation, but it's not even to start with. Can I make it even? That's the question. And in this, if your knee's okay, and your hip can tolerate only so much, and that's how far you will go. And so really press into the left knee with your left hand and lift your torso up as tall as you can, and use your abdomen to help the lift of the spine. And whenever we use our abdomen, our lower back likes that too. And breathe, and breathe. And then, good, I'm seeing some chairs. And then we're gonna go the other way. So now we're gonna go right ankle over left knee again. And trying to, so now, you know, maybe it goes a little lower this time, or it seems a little better. But the idea is to take the skin on the thigh toward the knee, and you're going to press the knee away from you, and your other hand is down for a second, but then stretch through the calf, Achilles, and heel gently. Just stretch through the Achilles so that we're flexing our foot, but in kind of a gentle way. We're not forcing the heel. We're just using our awareness into the Achilles, and we're using our hand on our knee to start with, but then see if you can keep that and take your hand away. Whatever you've been able to achieve, see if you can keep that and take your hand away and put both hands on the floor and lift your chest up, and then take your hands behind you into the cow shape and lift your chest up and pull your hands down and have your, so sometimes, you know, you can keep that, and it's a lot of work from the IT band. And then undo and uncross and straighten out, and then go the other way. But every time you straighten out, just double check your knees. Make sure your knees feel okay. And then you're going to go the second way. So the second way is, you know, on this side, maybe it's going to be easier again, you know, than it was the first time. In yoga, it's funny, as we continue with our poses and we continue repeating the poses, they get better, which is so different from other athletics, I think. So we're going to draw our knee down. Now, this one for me is very, very challenging. So whether I can keep that or not, I cannot promise. I'm only going to try, right? Oh, not easy. Okay, hands down. And you know, if your knee's way up and you're doing everything you can, that's fine. Just have the balance of your hands and the torso right in the center, and breathe. Chest up. And then undo. And then straighten your legs. So we got our hips and our knees working a little bit. Let's do a downward facing dog or a chair dog. So if you have the chair, use that for your chair dog if you like. And otherwise, come to your hands and knees. So whatever you have decided, we'll give this a go. And downward facing dog will be nice for your knees, as your knees are probably, you know, you've done something with your knees. So I'm just looking at you. So you go up into your pose, whatever your choice. And you use the awareness into your spine. That's really just where to start with. Now let's talk about energy distribution, because in yoga, we try to distribute our energy evenly, side to side, top to bottom. And so in this pose, think about the weight of the pose and where it really is. If you took the weight of your torso and arms and head and the weight of your hips and legs, I would think they wouldn't quite line up. I would think the lower part of your body would weigh a little bit more. So use that part of your body. Use your thighs, bend your knees, use your thighs, draw your hips away from your arms. Take the weight off of your arms and shoulders a little bit if you can, and breathe. So we're breathing, that's so important. And everybody's looking good. Everybody's looking good. Yeah. That's nice. I would say everybody bend your knees more if you didn't. And yeah, I think that helps you so much. I don't think we realize how much that helps us, but it does. And so that allows you to do that. Very nice, very nice. And then come down, We didn't need to make that the longest, most extensive experience of dog pose ever. We were just doing a little, we're doing what I call a little pose in the middle of what we're really doing. And so what we're really doing now is we're going to come back to our blankets and sit down again, or we're going to sit on a chair. Now this is really important, and we already know this, but if you're sitting on a chair, you're going to sit sideways. So you're going to sit sideways so that your right hip is facing the back of the chair, your legs are going to be together, your arms are going to come to the chair back, and you're going to twist. But if you're going to sit with me, we're going to do Ardha Matsyendrasana 1 prep. We're not going to sit on our foot. Ardha Matsyendrasana 1, we do sit on our foot, but we're not going to do that. Let's start with our right shin in front. I'm mirroring you. So we take our right shin in front, and then we take our right foot and we move it over the left knee. But before you do that, you really have to get the left thigh straight out of your hip. You know, it's no longer to the side at all. And then you bring your right foot over, and then you look at your right foot. And now I practiced this yesterday, and I was doing something in my practice, and I thought, oh, that just feels so good. And then I'll tell you what it is. But later on, I thought about some of my friends in this class, and I knew that would not be a good thing for them to do. So I'm going to tell you what I did, and you can try it. But if you're Helen, or if you're Pam, or if Carlin's here, or if anything like that, you are not going to do this. But if you feel fine with your foot and your ankle, you're just going to take your left hand to your right foot, and you're just going to kind of firmly connect it. I mean, it's not that big an action, but if I had ever broken my foot or ankle, I'd be really careful. But I haven't. So I'm going to just press my foot down, and I'm going to press my metatarsal down. It's just kind of connecting it mentally and physically. And then I'm coming back onto your right buttock, and your right knee should be straight up, you know. So straight up, and then just hold on with your hands around your shins. If you are twisting on the chair, you're going to the right, and you're taking your left, your right, I'll have to think about this in a second. The rest of us are going to take our right hand behind us, and we're going to twist toward the right. Yeah, so if you're sitting on a chair, you know, you're twisting toward the right as well. I'm mirroring you. That's my confusion. That's why I get confused sometimes, because it's hard enough to do the pose, but to do it backwards and then to talk about it. I know that you must be feeling the hip on the right side. You might be. So just notice that and turn toward the right. Lift up so tall. Lift up so tall. Both sides of the torso equally long. And then turn. So you don't want to feel like you're leaning one side to the other, or your spine is leaning. Your spine is centered right in the center of your torso. It's your torso skin that's turning. Your left ribs forward, your right ribs back. And then undo that and straighten your legs. So in terms of a twist, that's a good lower back twist, but you know, you do feel it probably in your hips. Now, if you're still with me, you could go to the chair now if you feel that's right, but otherwise you're going to take the left shin in front. So now your right knee is coming directly out of your hip. See, that's what changes. In a cross leg, my knee's a little out from my hip, but as I do Ardha Matsyendrasana 1, I bring that shin or that thigh into the straighter position, and then the left foot comes over that. But then once I do that, I've got to reconnect the left hip, because you know you did turn. So you're going to really push that foot down if you can. You're going to hold on to your shins and center and lift your spine, and then you're taking your left hand behind. And I'm just using my hand over my knee right now. I'll do the completed pose in a minute. Well, not quite the completed pose. Spine up, centered, and to the left. But you're not leaning to the left, and your spine is not leaning to the left. Your spine stays right in the center and go. So your right ribs are coming forward, your left ribs are going back, your chest stays in the center, you breathe, and you know, it's a nice twist, I would think, on the lower back. And then come back to center and straighten your legs out. Now we're going to do it again, and now we're going to add the elbow over the knee if we can. What we're not going to do is sit on our foot. See, in this pose, really, we sit on the foot and take but we're not doing that because we're not together physically, and I can't see you, so I just don't want to do that. So this time we're going to bring our left shin in first. So, and then our knee is going to come right out of the hip, and then the right foot's going to come over as we did before, and then restore the right hip. So we don't need to talk so much about it since we know what we're doing now. And then I'm going to, before I go though, I think it's really wise to think of the hips to the armpits and the spine right in the center, so that you've got that before you even think about it. And your right hand's going to come behind now, and your left arm is going to go up. So you take your left arm up and then turn toward the right. And then if you can get the left elbow to the outside of the knee, you'll do that. Otherwise, you'll hold your hand around the knee. There's no need to do this if this doesn't feel right to your shoulders, maybe. So you're going to be really tall, though. And then, of course, in this position, your elbow doesn't come all that low, does it? You're trying, but you're not expecting to get your armpit to the outside of the knee on the second trial in this particular pose. We could get there if we do this quite a bit more. Be firm on both sit bones, be centered with your spine, and be even side to side on your torso, and start turning toward the right. And breathing, breathing, breathing. And then undo and straighten your legs. And then go the second way. So now you're going to take your right foot over. Is that what we're doing? Go to the second side. Nope, other side. Oh, funny. Oh, funny. Oh. Your left foot is over your right knee. And just for a minute, center yourself side to side, spine in the center. Breathe, breathe. And then take your left hand behind you and your right arm up. So really tall with your side body on the right side, but don't make it taller than the left side body. Both of those are tall. Take your elbow to the outside of the knee if you can, and start turning toward the left. So spine is centered, side body is even, hips are even. Breathe, and breathe. And then come back to center and straighten your legs. So Ardha Matsyendrasana 1 prep, because we didn't do sitting on the foot. Now downward facing dog. So come into downward facing dog now. And I will again take a look at you, because for one thing, it's such a beautiful pose. So I always like to look and see how everybody's dog pose is coming along. But I would say very nice, very nice. Good. Judy, that looks beautiful. Really nice. Everybody looks good. Now we know that our hands are down and our shoulders are lifting up away from our hands, right? But our neck stays kind of in the same position. In other words, the shoulders lift, but the head doesn't lift with it. The neck remains neutral and long, I hope, and that you feel good and breathing. So it's mostly about the spinal extension, isn't it? So lift your spine up as tall as you possibly can. Beautiful, Pam. That looks great. Nice, nice. And then, you know, being in your own body and seeing how this feels, but try to transfer a little more weight toward the legs. Try to engage the mid part of your thigh, what we call the belly of the thigh, right into the thigh bone, the femur, and just pull it back. You know, as it works for you. I mean, everybody just looks great, but it's a lot about how much weight is in your arms and shoulders. We try to take some of the weight away from that toward our legs, and then come down and be in child's pose now. Stretch your arms, knees wide, or, you know, if your knees are not liking child's pose, you can always lie on your back and squeeze your knees in. That's the same thing, only upside down. So just be in child's pose, knees wide, arms stretching out in front of you. If you need anything for your head or anything for your hands, of course, you're going to use that, because you want to feel length, not strain. But now that we're in child's pose, think about the distribution of energy in this pose. Because in this pose, the energy is going back towards your buttocks and hips and heels, and also forward towards your hands and upper back and chest. So just feel like your outer armpits are stretching forward and your ribs are almost lengthening back. It's kind of just an awareness of where the energy is and where the weight is. We're trying to take our weight back, aren't we? But the energy is going forward too. So you have to just be in your own pose and breathe and feel it, and then come back to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. So hands are firmly down, identical, and side body is as long as you can make it. And that help, the knee bending helps for that, I think, because, you know, at first our lower back and our mid back really can use the assistance of bending the knees or taking the heels really high. So try both of those. Try lifting your heels up and then try bending your knees in that position, yes. And then that gets the sit bones really a little higher, and that's good. And then you try to take more awareness into your thighs and pull your thighs back away from your ribs, but at the same time, your ribs are coming right toward it. You know, your chest is coming toward your knees. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. And then come down. That really, that one did a lot more, because we're more into our dog pose now. So child's pose, child's pose. Arms outstretched. Hips back. Is if you can get your buttocks on your heels, that's the idea. If you can't, you can always use something behind your calves and buttocks. You know, just a little bit of filler, so that you can connect your buttocks to something, and then arms go way out in front. And breathe, and breathe. And then one more dog pose. So in your dog pose, this time, just be in your best dog pose that you can do, because everybody's just got this beautiful pose right now. So the sit bones are up, the side body is long, and we talk a lot more now in Iyengar yoga than ever before about the armpits, about lengthening, opening, stretching open the armpits. And we're trying to take our armpits toward our knees and our sit bones up. So we're just doing whatever we can to create this length on our side body. And head is relaxed. In our thinking, your ears are between your upper arms, probably, if you have any questions at all. I mean, for people who are quite comfortable and advanced in this pose and have done this like maybe 5 or 6 times, your head might relax more and not between your upper arms. But if you ever have any questions about, oh, my neck, it's your ears between your upper arms. Stretch your outside of your armpits. Stretch the outside of your armpits, the outside of your ribs, and way up toward the hips. Beautiful. Really nice, really nice. Come down, child's pose. So child's pose is just a really nice resting pose. And you should feel that you're making it nice for yourself, not that you feel like you wish you weren't doing this, you know. So if you don't like this, lifting up higher is always better. You know, taking your hands to blocks or something like that can really help. But now come up, and we're going to come back to our blankets where we were before. So we're going to sit in Dandasana. So sit in Dandasana on your perch, so that you have your seated position. You want to be a little bit on your hamstrings and your sit bones, and do everything you can to move this buttock skin side to side so you feel pretty centered, and then put your hands beside you and draw your buttock skin down, your abdominal skin up, your armpits up, your shoulder blades down, and then point your toes toward the screen, toward your screen, toward me. Just point your toes to really feel your thighs active, and then bring the toes back towards you to feel the hamstrings again active. I don't feel like they're stretching as much as they're connecting to the bone. And now we're going to work on Jana Shirshasana prep. Now, I know for some people, they feel these forward bends are really hard, and we're not doing a forward bend. We're doing the preparation for it. So don't get in your mind that we're going to do that. But the preparation for it is so important for other poses that we're going to do this. So you can sit on both blankets, or you can use, again, if your knees are just not going to do this, you can go back to the chair, okay? But I'm going to take a blanket away because I know I don't need that, and I might keep it for another purpose. And I'm going to, so we're going to sit in Dandasana, but then we're going to draw our left knee back. So I'm going to angle my blankets under my buttocks. I want my blanket under both buttocks. If you're sitting flat on the floor and you don't need anything and your lower back can lift up, excellent. If you need a blanket though, or two, both buttocks need to be on that. And so you'll see that when we take our hand to our inner left knee, and do that now, and bring your knee back and hold on to the outside of your foot, remember? And then you place your foot down, and the heel will touch the inner left thigh, and the toes will come under the inner right thigh. And then now you've got some reckoning to do, I think. If you feel like your knee can come down safely, that's what we want. If the knee is way up, which it might be, then you could sit higher, as we always say. But even if you sit higher and the knee's up, then take something and put it under your knee. We want to be able to connect down with this knee. So whatever your choice, whatever you're going to do, this knee is down, the left knee is down. And in fact, the left knee is the anchor of this pose, so it is not to be ignored. And I mean, sometimes, you know, you don't think about it this way, but really, we're going to turn away from this knee now. But all the energy that is in the knee is going to have to stay there, because this is going to hold us back from hurting ourselves. So really press that knee down, turn toward your right leg, and just take your left hand to the outside of your right knee and just sit up as tall as you can. So you'll see that we're twisting, but we're not swiveling around. We're only twisting to get our torso in line with our right leg. And then lift up strongly through both sides of the torso. But feel this left knee really pressing down. So we're just in this kind of preparatory pose where we're not going forward. We eventually would, but we're not going to today. But the thing about this is lifting the spine up like this creates a really beautiful pose. And this configuration comes into many more advanced poses. So now we're going to undo this, and we're going to bring this knee back up and straighten it out. And then I'm going to get my blankets angled again, so that when I sit, both buttocks are on it, but when I bring the right knee back, the leg's not on it. So your legs are not so much on it, but your buttocks are on the blanket. And then now it's your right knee that's in this bend. It's a deep bend, we agree. And your heel is touching the inner thigh, and your toes are underneath the extended left leg. And so now, just with your awareness, if you need any support, I want to keep saying this, because if you need any support, or if you're having any problems, you know, take care of it. Because this has to be down on something, and then we turn away from it with our torso. So we're twisting away from it, but really, we're twisting so that we can line up with our outstretched left leg. Put your right hand on your outer left leg, lift your chest up, breathe. And now push through your inner left leg too, in case you were like somebody in this room who didn't do that to start with. You want that inner leg to be long, and just lift up really tall. We're not going forward, we're just lifting up. And then undo. So now I'm going to bring my knee back up. I mean, I've been taught the way to bring my knee up, and maybe we have all been taught. We hold on to that knee and we straighten it. Very nice to our knees. And then we're going to go the back to the first side, second time. So if you really found that that was just, whoa, what am I doing? Then sit down in a chair and do a chair twist. But otherwise, both buttocks are on a surface, the right leg is extended, we bring the left leg back. So in this pose, the left leg starts. The bent leg is the left leg. And the heel is touching the inside of the left thigh, and the toes are kind of hiding. And then really get this knee down, because now let's talk about energy. You really have to, if you divided, so we're sitting straight up. We're trying to get our torso in line with the right leg. But think of yourself as divided down the center of your face, down the center of your torso, through the spinal area. And you would want the energy on the left side of the body to be as much as the right side of the body, but all the weight is on the right side of the body. But that doesn't stop the left leg from really being dominant here. The left leg has got so much energy, it's pressing down so hard. We're going to take our left arm up, and we're going to just lift it up. And so now we're really tall on the spine, both sit bones the same, and just take your hand to the knee, to the outside of the knee, which we had before, but now we did a little more drama. And then this left knee is really holding firm, and breathe, lift up. And I'm not telling you to round your back at all. Just take your hand a little lower if you can. I'm not telling you to round your back. I'm telling you to take your spine with you. What is interesting is when you, sometimes in these poses, when you take your arm forward, your middle back goes, ugh, I don't want to do that. So if that's the case, keep sitting up straight. Don't try to come forward. If you can come forward and bring your spine with you, your chest with you, your collarbones with you, it's not a huge action, but you want to be safe. So breathe into your spine. And then undo that and bring this knee back up, being so nice to it, and straightening it. And then go the other way. See, if you get yourself into a situation where you're having knee pain, injury pain, then you're disobeying two yamas of our whole practice. Bring your right knee back. And I've been there. I've been there where I couldn't hold back because I didn't want to be the only one who wasn't doing what everyone else was doing, and my ego just, but I was disobeying two yamas. The first one is nonviolence. If you're injuring yourself, you're doing violence to yourself, and that is absolutely, that's so non-yogic. It's like, no, we wouldn't want to do that. But the second yama that I would be disobeying is truth, because I'm not being honest with myself. Can I really do this? I have to say all this because yoga is not just the physical part of it. It's the yamas and the niyamas too. And so sit up really straight and tall. Take your right arm up and extend it, hand to the outside of the knee. So we're turned toward our outstretched left leg. Chest is up. Maybe you can inch your hand down a little lower. No big deal if you can't, because the most important thing is that your spine and your torso are joined together to move forward. And when you think about it, when Jo talks to us about her spine, remember what she says? She says, take your spine in and up. That's true here, in and up. So away from the back body, toward the front body. You're still centered, because the truth is, you don't want to be on the back body and then come back up. You feel your back body for sure. Now straighten your legs. Now straighten your legs. And then we're going to go one more time, and we're going to try to reach our foot, and if we can't, we're going to have a belt. So this is where the belt comes in. So we're going to, and you could always use a belt anyway. So we're going to sit on both buttocks, and we're going to bring our left knee back, first side. And we're holding on to our knee, and we're doing everything. So now you know what support you need. And then I just am going to put a belt on. I don't want to start searching for my belt if I feel like I need it, I like to have it right there. So the left knee is now resisting the action of the torso moving over. So that's another way to think of it. Energy stays here as part of the resistance. The resistance is to stay centered, and this leg is going to help us do that. And we're going to take our spine right in line with our right leg, best we can. And then we're going to stretch our arms up. And when you do that, your left knee should say, well, I can stay down, so that's good. And if it can't, you better get something underneath it. And now we're leaning forward. But now we're not rounding our back. So the mid-back is not going back. The mid-back is going forward into the front of the ribs. So now if you need a belt, the belt is just great. So you can hold the belt, and you hold it as close to your foot as you can, or you can hold your foot. This is totally up to you. This is where my washcloth comes in for this foot. I told you I had a reason for this. I have to do this Princess and the Pea. All I can feel is the pea. So I just really have to give myself some softness. Lift your chest. Lift your chest up through your arms. Feel like you're lifting your chest up through your arms, and you're holding the belt. You're holding the belt. You're holding the belt. There's no reason to go any further than you feel good going. And you're lifting your chest. And then undo. This pose, although we didn't do a lot of jumping up and down, does create a lot of energy. And I'm sure you feel that. And you feel like, oh, I'm warm doing this pose, even though I'm not standing and moving around. So now our right knee is going to come back. So we get ourselves organized with our left leg, and then we bring our right knee back and our right heel back to touch the thigh, everything that we're doing. And then we turn away from that knee. So now this knee is the resistance. And the resistance to the turn and to all the weight that's going into the left side of our body. You really probably feel that you don't have to forget about the right side of the body because it's really doing a lot. And then bring your arms up, if you can. And just stretch up. And then you're gonna reach for your foot, or I forgot to put the belt there, or grab the belt and lift your chest up. See, I like the belt because I can get this sense of where my spine is inside my torso better if I'm not too far forward to start with. I can really lift up and center my spine. You don't want to feel like you're, resisting this with your mid-back. Your mid-back is coming in forward and your chest up. If you can grab your toes, foot, that's great. Lift your chest. Arms are strong. In this pose, your arms either way are moving back into the shoulder socket. Yeah. And then release all this, and straighten your legs out. Downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, back to something that we all know and love. And, we just do. Because this is a pose that we learned day one, we continue to do. I'm sure you do dog pose every single day, and or right angle pose is another one, or putting your hands on a chair and chair dog, or putting your hands on the wall. We always are doing something, and we learned this, and we're so thankful for it, right? And we can really stretch our spine. Use your legs. And I don't mean you have to straighten your legs right away. You may not have to straighten your legs right away. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying feel like your legs are starting to take more weight. Yeah, you're pushing back toward you. You do have to use your hands to push. There's no doubt about that. You're pushing your hands back, but you're pushing your shoulders up. But now then you have to transfer the weight. You've got to just say, enough with the arms. I'm going to use the legs more. And breathe. Lengthen the spine. Breathe. Relax the head. Soften the face. And then come down. And now just roll over onto your back. Just roll over onto your back and squeeze your knees in. So instead of child's pose, more of the on your back child's pose. So you're either holding on over your knees or under your knees, so whatever's best for you. And just feel like your lower back. So just notice now, just undo your legs and put your feet on the floor, knees bent. Just put your feet on the floor, knees bent, and just feel your buttocks and feel your ribs and feel your shoulders, but you probably don't feel the waist on the floor. There's a curve in your lower back, correct? Yes, there is. Now, bring your knees into your chest, and that curve goes away, and your sacrum just softly flattens to the floor. Just release your sacrum to the floor and bring your knees into your chest. And then hold your right knee in and stretch your left leg out so it's stretching out but not on the floor, like hovering maybe a couple of inches, and you're stretching through the inner leg best you can. Yes, beautiful, nice, good. And bring the left knee in and stretch the right leg out. Same idea. It's really bringing energy into the foot away from your chest and heart and lungs, That leg is really active. Now go to the first side. Because Iyengar would say that the legs are the second heart. You feel how strong those legs are. Keep stretching through, and stretch through the inner leg. Broaden your toes. Yeah, take your toes and broaden them. And then press through the heel and the inner leg. And then go to the second side and do the same. So now the right leg is stretching really strong, long through the inner leg. Spread the toes, inner foot, heel, everything. You feel the foot. You feel the foot. That's really good. And now bring both knees in. Bring both knees in and spread your arms to the side. And keep your knees toward each other if you can. That's hard, isn't it, for some of us? But try to keep your knees toward each other and take your knees toward your right elbow, but keep the left shoulder down. So we only go so far. And then feel your abdominals and feel like they could move away from the right knees toward the left. I say that with a little smile because I know that's hard. and then bring your knees back up. But that's what we're working on. In this class, we keep working on our belly button. Take your knees to the left, keep your belly button kind of hoping to go to the right, trying, and breathing, and breathing. Good. And then come back to center and put your feet down and roll over to the right side and come up. And now we're going to have 2 blocks. So I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to face you. Usually on a standing pose, we're going to do a couple easy standing poses. And we're going to use blocks. I think if I do it this way, this would be fine. You won't be able to, at a certain point, just stand between your blocks. Stand between your blocks in Tadasana. So now we're standing up. And feel your legs now. And feel your heels. And lift your toes up and broaden your toes. And take your thighs back, inner thighs slightly back. Outer hips pinning in. Relax your toes. Lift your chest. Notice where you are on your feet. Are you in, so lean forward into your toes so that you feel like your heels get extremely light. And then notice that you can look down at your feet and you're going to see your chest is way over your feet. But then come back into your heels. Keep your metatarsals down, but come back into your heels. So your chest now is more up than forward. And hands are down and shoulder skin is down, and breathe. And now bend your knees and put both hands on the block and step your left foot back. So your right foot is forward, your left foot is back, not so far that you feel like you've lost the center line, the midline. The midline is the center of your face, the center of your neck, the center of your chest, ribs, belly button, pubis. That's the center line. Keep that and pull both outer hips back. Try. That might require a little bit of softening of the knees. You know, if your hamstrings complain too much, help yourself. But lift your chest through your upper arm. Take your shoulders away from your neck, though. Chest is coming forward. Shoulders are moving away from your ears. Shoulders are moving away from your ears. You should feel your shoulder blades really pressing down. Breathe. Now, bend your right foot and step your left foot forward and bring your right foot back. This is Parsvottanasana prep. We're not going to go forward. We're going outward and up with our chest. So here, feel both feet. That would be a good thing to start with. And then feel both the midline. If you feel the midline, that really helps. If you really think about the midline, you can address the hips more easily because you're drawing your hips back away from your shoulders, right? Yes. And breathe. But that back leg, that back thigh, probably needs to lift a little bit into the bone. And chest comes forward, shoulders away from the ears. Pull your shoulders away from your ears and breathe. I'm not saying stretch your neck away from your shoulders. I'm saying stretch your shoulders away from your ears. And then bend your right knee and bring your left foot forward and come up into Tadasana. So stretch your chest up, your heels down, and breathe. And then lift your toes all off the floor and broaden them. So broaden your toes and stretch your toes. And when you stretch your toes, do you stretch your fingers too? I do. We don't need to, but stretch your fingers as long as that's available. And then notice the weight on your feet when your toes are lifted. There's a little bit of moving back and forth. So release the toes down, and see how much they do help. You know, we still feel that we're not a statue, we're moving a little bit, but it's better. Chest up, arms down, armpits open, ribs back, buttock skin down, bend your knees, put your hands on the block, step your left leg back. So your right leg is forward, And both inner groins are, both inner legs, stretch through the inner legs, but both the inner legs at the very top are slightly rolling back, and the hips are rolling back, and the chest is coming forward, shoulders away from the ears. Pull the shoulders away from the ears. Don't adjust your neck, adjust the shoulders, and the skin on your shoulders moving towards your buttocks moving back toward the bottom of your buttocks. And then breathe, bend your right knee, bring your left foot forward, take your right leg back, second side. So just as best you can, be in the midline, be in the center line, center of your face, center of your throat, center of your collarbones, chest, ribs, all of that. And then draw the outer hips away from the armpits. Draw the outer hips back. When you do that, then take your shoulder skin back too. And ears are, don't change your neck. Take your shoulders away from your ears and breathe. And then step your right foot back. Tadasana. So just take your hands behind your back and just, if you can, this is always, if you can't interclasp your hands, because sometimes for men with larger shoulders, it's harder. So, I don't know if you can see me, but you can take your belt behind you and hold your hands with the belt with your hands. But then release that, Tadasana. Be in Tadasana. You should now feel like the midline, the center line, is pretty much in your awareness. Now I don't have to wonder, what do I mean? I know what I'm trying to do. Both inner heels down. Both inner heels down. Inner legs long. Breathe. Bend your knees. Put your hands on the block. Step your left foot back, but have your, I'm mirroring you. And keep the right knee over the right ankle. Keep the right knee over the right ankle. So now we're in preparation for Virabhadrasana 1, which we're not going to do the completed pose either. So the back leg though, that's what I would say. Your back thigh, lift it up. Lift it up into the femur bone and lift your chest through the armpits. So and then you might notice your right hip needs to lengthen away from your knee. So if you think about the right leg, the skin on the inner leg, right leg, is going toward the knee. The skin on the outer right leg, thigh, is going back toward the hip. There's a circular action there, but the left thigh has to pick up into the bone and breathe. My heel's not on the floor. I'm sure yours isn't. I mean my back heel. It's not. And then I'm going to, with a couple of steps or only one, whatever I can do, I'm going to bring that foot back, and I'm going to take my right leg back, your right leg back. So now your left knee is bent, Virabhadrasana 1 prep, and you're right over the ankle with your left knee. That's pretty important, pretty important. And then, as we did before, shoulders back away from the ears, chest up. And so, we're not going forward, we're going up with our torso, and the right thigh needs to really lift into the femur bone. And then the outer left hip moves away from the knee, and the inner left thigh moves toward the knee. And all of that is tracking so that your thigh is long and your knee's right over your ankle, back leg strong. Breathe. Now with a couple of steps, bring that leg back. Stand up into Tadasana. Bend your knees, put your hands on the blocks. We're going to do something different now. Step your left foot back. So now your right knee is bent. It starts the same. It starts the same. And you have to really use your awareness into your back thigh, because you don't want that to sag. If it sags, then your buttocks sags. So if you could think of your buttocks, which you can't see them, but we would like them to be level. And then I'm going to have my right hand on the block, and I'm going to put my left forearm over my right knee. And so that's changing things a little bit. Now I'm leaning more to the right. So naturally, the left leg has to be my anchor. Left leg has to be really strong, and lift your chest and breathe. And if you can take your elbow to the outside of that knee, do it. So I'm not taking my hand off the block. My right hand stays on the block. You know, if you want to take your hand and put it on your sacrum, be my guest. But I'm trying to control my hips, keep my legs really active, and lift my chest forward, and then twist toward the right. Twist toward the right. Don't drop your left hip when you do that. Don't drop your left hip. And then undo and come back to this preparation that we started with and bring the back foot forward, and then take the right leg back and breathe. So now our left knee is right over the ankle, all the things that we know about this. And don't forget, because we're going to shift our weight to the left. So the right leg is going to be really strong. So pull the muscle of the right thigh up into the bone, and then push the heel back. And then with your left hand still on the block, bring your right forearm to your knee and lift your chest forward. So this requires an awareness of how your hips are behaving. So you're not leaning to the left with your hips. Your hips stay level to where they were. Use that back leg strongly. If you can get your elbow to the outside of that knee and start turning toward the left, and you know, you're welcome to take your hand off the block, but I'm not going to. Lift your chest, turn. Lift your chest, turn. Back leg strong, back leg really strong. And then undo, put both hands on their respective blocks and bring your right leg forward. And then now, take your hands back by your hips, palms up, lift your chest, inhale and come up. Downward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Our beautiful pose. Our beautiful pose. Take your right leg up. Extend your right leg up. Yeah, nice, nice. We're ready for this now. Yeah, that looks good. Bring that down. Bring the left leg up. Good, beautiful, beautiful. So the torso remains stable and the leg lifts. That's really great. Bring the leg down. Breathe. Okay, now come down. We'll do that. We'll do another dog pose. But we're going to do a quick Supta Padangusthasana series. Just quick, quick, quick. So don't get too stressed out about this. We're not going to get stressed out. It's yoga. Have a belt. And lie down on your back. And bring your legs right together. So it's not going to be a long Supta Padangusthasana, but it will be fun. So you're lying on your back. You're in Supta Tadasana, so straighten your legs out. Straighten your legs out, and then make sure that your legs are coming straight out of your hips, and you know everything's in line. And breathe. And bend your right knee, bring your foot toward you, and put a belt around that foot. And then lift your right leg up and straighten your left leg out. So the two legs are related to each other, and so we're not forgetting that. So take your awareness to your left leg especially, and draw the inner left leg down. Yeah, I can see that you're doing that, and that is really good. And then the right leg is up, and the foot is moving toward you, but the thigh is holding back. You know, so I wouldn't be in too big a hurry to take my foot forward, because it's more important to open the back of your knee safely. And this is all such good work for the hamstrings if you're patient with yourself. So we're just doing what we can. Very nice. Now, breathe. So your right leg is up. You're going to take your left arm to the side, and you're going to take your left foot and move it to the edge of the sticky mat, away from the center. And now you're going to take your right leg to the side, but you're going to keep your left leg in your so much awareness. You'll see that you're going to go further than normal because that leg is helping you. Your left leg, oh, that's so nice. So feel like your left side of your body is really just as important as the right leg that is being the showstopper here. You know, this is the star of the show. No, no, no. The left side of your body is the most important. Hold it down. Bring the right leg back up. Bring your foot to the center, back to the center. Your left leg back to the center. Left leg back to the center. Good, good. Now switch the belt to your left hand. Take your right leg across the midline. Take your right leg across the midline just a little bit. Remember? Remember? Yeah, good, good. So now you are coming off that buttock a little bit. And then undo and put the belt on your left leg. Stretch your right leg out. Stretch your right leg out. And breathe. So now your left leg is up, and like we said before, no hurry to get your foot too close to your face. More important to get the hamstrings to the place where they are learning to be more flexible rather than being forced into being flexible, you know, because they won't like that. Breathe, breathe. Now take your right arm to the side, take your right leg to the edge of the sticky mat, take your left leg to the other side. So this is such a nice way of doing Supta Padangusthasana too, because you really feel the anchoring of your right side body so much more with the foot helping you this way. And the left leg will go further probably. And breathe, breathe. And then we're going to bring that leg back up. We're going to return the right foot to the center midline, and we're going to take the belt into our right hand across the midline with your left leg. And breathe. Very nice. And then bring that leg back up. And then bring your right foot up, put it into the belt, stretch your left leg down, same thing. This is just kind of a quicker version of this, but it's still so nice. Stretch the left leg out, right leg up, best you can. Breathe, take your left hand to the side, take your left foot to the side, take your right leg to the other side, and just stretch right across the center of your pelvis. Right across your pelvis, right across your ribs, right across your chest, your right leg, very dramatic, the left leg, left buttock, left shoulder, staying down, breathe, bring your right leg up, switch the belt to your left hand, take your foot back to the midline on the bottom leg, just go over the midline with your right leg, and then come back to center, and bring your left leg up, stick it in the belt, and take your right leg down. So the left leg is up, Supta Padangusthasana 1. Then take your right hand to the side, right foot to the side for Supta Padangusthasana 2, left leg away from the right side. Keep your right buttock down, keep your right leg really strong, keep your right shoulder down, breathing, breathing, very nice. Bring your leg back up, foot comes to the right leg, comes back to the center, cross the midline after you switch the belt into the other hand, and just breathe. And then undo that, hug your knees in, and roll to the side. Now we've got an option. So we've got 2 blocks, and I'm gonna go sideways just because I want to show you the 2 options. So have your blocks ready, and one block is going to go under your shoulders, and one block is going to go under your head, maybe. That's option 1, and we all like this one, I think, because it's a passive back bend, but it's supported very firmly with these blocks. So if you're going to do this one, your shoulders are going to go on the second level block, your head's going to go on the top block, and your legs will be in simple cross legs or straight. That's option 1. Now, when I come up from this, I'm going to say this now. I'm leading with my chest. My head's going to stay in line with all this. I'm pressing with my elbows and hands. I'm just coming up. Okay, now second option is for people who like to do Virasana, and the blocks then are both high, And if you do this, this is Paryankasana, couch pose. So this is only for people who know this, love this, want to do this. You come to Virasana, legs. And then you come onto the block with your shoulders on one or a little lower than that, your head on the other, and your hands can be over your head, touching the wall, on your feet, whatever. So that's the second option, is Paryankasana. Both of them have the same effect, by the way. It's just that for those of us who love Virasana and love the Supta Virasana, this is a lot like Supta Virasana, then we love Paryankasana. So it's just your own choice. But if you're using the block under your head and shoulders and your legs are in simple cross legs, it's the same thing. You should feel like you are getting this beautiful lift of your spine up towards your front body. You know, even though the blocks are helping you a lot, you still have to hold your rib cage up with your awareness and breathe. So that looks good. That looks good. I like the choices you've made. Beautiful. Wow, that looks great. Now just spread the energy from the center of your chest towards your hands. Yeah, just feel like there's energy distribution here from the midline to the edges of your body, from the center of your chest toward the hands, from the center of your ribs toward the edges of your torso, pelvis to the edge of your hips, you know, so that we're getting the sense that we're right in the midline, and breathe, and breathe. If your legs are crossed, then you could cross your legs the second way. If you're in Virasana, no need to change anything. The one thing you might try, I'm just going to suggest this. If you're in Virasana, in Paryankasana, just take your hands now and put them, just make a circle around your ankles with each hand. Just circle your ankles and draw your elbows down and your armpits up. I've not been taught that, but I do it, and it creates more length in my torso and more awareness into my shoulder skin. So that's just something to try. You know, the other way we do it is to stretch our arms over our head and hold onto our elbows. So that's another good one, and breathe, and breathe. But whatever choice you're in, now we're going to start coming up. So if you're in Virasana, you have to be very careful when you lift up. Yes, good, good. And then if you're in Virasana, you cross your ankles behind you and take your buttocks over the bottom, and then straighten your legs out. If we're in cross legs or in straight legs, you just come up and you're as careful as can be. Now, Supta Baddha Konasana. Supta Baddha Konasana can be with support, under, like a bolster under your torso with a blanket for your head. Is something to support your outer knees. When I did this, I've been practicing this sequence the last few days. I used all the bells and whistles. I used the belt around my sacrum and over my feet, you know, that one. I used blankets under my thighs. I used a blanket under my head. I used a bolster. I just thought, why not? Because this pose is a very calming pose. You don't even need to have support to do Supta Baddha Konasana if you don't want it. But I like the support. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Whatever you're doing, you know what you're doing, because we all know this pose. And we all, I hope, like this pose. It's just really, really a lovely, lovely pose for getting the chest open, for getting the mind calm. Once you bring your head down and your chest is open and your knees are spread to the side, now we can imagine the center line again from the center of your forehead, nose, chin, chest. So you just feel the center line, the midline. You feel the evenness of this pose. Feel the evenness of your feet. Your feet are touching. So if you can connect your heels and your toes and your metatarsals, not by, well, we do push a little bit, we press. We want to connect. And sometimes, honestly, if you really connect your heels, then your hips and your groins are much safer. But to say that, I also want to make sure you feel like your knees are supported enough that your knees feel okay, your hips feel okay, your groins feel okay. And then just relax your face, soften your jaw. So now your eyes are closed. Now your eyes are closed. And when your eyes are closed, the real beauty of this pose presents itself. Because with your eyes closed, you can still feel the balance that you have in your body between your left side and your right side, between your left knee and your right knee, your left foot and your right foot. You want to have as much support as possible. You can use blocks, you can use blankets. I'm talking about for your legs. Your torso, you probably are having less issues with your torso and maybe more with your legs. And so we don't want there to be issues. We want it to be wonderful. Why does this pose work the way it does? I think because you're so centered. And because Iyengar thought that this was such a good pose because the pelvis was relaxed. From the left side of your pelvis to the right side of your pelvis, feel broad. Feel broad. The spinal extension is centering you left to right, but the pelvis skin is relaxing side to side, and your buttock skin should be relaxed too. Just notice your breathing now. Just notice your breathing. So that your inhale is just very nourishing. You're not overly, you're not breathing heavily. You're breathing with enough awareness to fill your lungs softly, and then the exhalation very soft. And relax your face from center sideways. So from the center of your forehead toward the temples. From also the hairline toward the eyebrows. From the center bridge of your nose toward the earlobes. Center of your mouth and chin toward the jaw, edges of your jaw. Relax your throat. So the skin on your face very soft. Because now we don't need it for the purposes that we usually use our face to express ourselves, to talk. Even when we're listening, we're using our face, but now we're not. Just relax your face. Relax the skin on your chest. Relax the skin on your pelvis and the inner legs too. There should be plenty of support. Just let go. Just your breathing, you're relaxing, you're centering. You know, when we center ourselves in a pose like this, when we come to midline and we just spread our energy from center sideways and we're very centered, this goes into the rest of our day in surprising ways. I hope so. I hope you feel this has brought you into a softness that you'll carry with you through the rest of the day. Now, you can stay this way for Shavasana, of course, or you can bring your knees back up toward each other, roll to the side, straighten your legs, come into either a traditional Shavasana. You can do whatever you like. And if you're staying in Supta Baddha Konasana, you can do that for Shavasana, that's fine. So sometimes we're there, we're happy, we stay. Sometimes we're there and we're happy, but we still want to go to Shavasana. If you're in Shavasana, same idea. Skin soft. Breathing is into the entire body. And the thing about being this relaxed in Shavasana or Baddha Konasana Supta is that you have an awareness now of how the breathing does affect your body. So your breathing isn't your whole body. It comes in certainly through the nose, trachea, lungs, all that. But thanks to the central nervous system, all the energy of the breathing is going into every cell of your body. It's going into your little toe. It's going into your forehead. Everything is being nourished with your breathing. Just keep breathing. Keep softening. Keep letting go. So your left shoulder and your right shoulder, same idea for both shoulders. Back of your neck is soft. The shoulder skin, so soft. The ribs, well, the ribs, if you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, certainly the ribs are up. But even in traditional Shavasana, the ribs are probably not on the floor. The back of the waist is not on the floor. It's more about lengthening your spine and softening it center sideways. So just from the center of yourself, just breathing to the edges of your body, just everything very soft. Letting go. Letting go. With all your energy is spread to every part of your body. But that means that every part of your body is very soft, because that's just the way that goes. Tongue is on the lower palate. Relax your tongue to the lower palate. Make sure that that stays really relaxed. Feel the inhalation. Feel that it's kind of cool as it comes in toward your lungs. And then the exhalation is just a little bit longer and warmer. As the air comes out of your lungs, of course, it's warmed up. Now, if you're in Baddha Konasana and you would like to come into a traditional Shavasana, or at least straighten your legs, now would be a good time to do that. We still have a couple of minutes for you to really continue to enjoy this relaxation. But if you want to make any adjustments with yourself to take a bolster away or straighten your legs, whatever you're going to do, that's just fine. Breathe. Notice the calming effect of your breath. Your inhale, your exhale. Everything is really soft and centered and calm. Just feel the palms of your hands now. Just feel how soft they are. And really make sure your palms are open and your thumbs are rolling down. I don't mean that your thumbs can actually touch the floor, because that is pretty hard to do. But you want to feel like you're opening the palms of your hands. If your hands are on your torso, that's fine too. Sometimes that's where we want to go after a certain amount of time. Just keep breathing. Just slowly, softly. Now gradually, slowly begin to increase your inhalation. So the inhalation now slightly fuller, not too much, just a little bit fuller. And then your exhalation a little bit longer. And repeat. So we're starting to come back to our day now. Place your hands on your abdomen and thank your body. So when you're ready, at your own pace, you're just going to roll over to the right side and rest with your head on your arm. And keep just being aware of how you're feeling, how your back is feeling, how your breathing is going. And then we're going to look down at the floor, press the weight into our hands, stretch up with our torso. Come up with your torso. And then be really tall. Be really tall through your torso. So that's one thing that yoga helps us with, our posture, our spine. Bring your hands into prayer. Namaste.